Good morning, Wasiq Mustafa. Am I audible to you?
Sir,
Hello,
yes.
Wasiq.
Audible. Yes, sir. Audible.
Mustafa, am I audible to you?
Yes, yes, sir.
Chalo, so let's start with today's newspaper analysis. Yesterday also we have seen that the cases used against the opposition political leaders have been raised by 95% in the last few years. So उसी से रिलेटेड इंडियन एक्सप्रेस का अपना खुद का एक इन्वेस्टिगेशन है, उसी से रिलेटेड एक न्यूज आई हुई है that since 2014 four-fold jump in ED cases against politicians, 95% are from opposition. That is what is mentioned here. So Congress president elections are going to be held. Gehlot signals to MLAs that he will contest if Rahul doesn't, and he's going to meet Sonia Gandhi for that. Yes, Mustafa.
सर ये जो ईडी और सीबीआई जो पिछले कुछ दिनों से न्यूज भी चल रहा था कि यूनियन गवर्नमेंट ने उसका मिसयूज करके अपोजिशन लीडर्स के खिलाफ उसका इस्तेमाल किया ऐसे बोल रहे हैं या सर यूपीएससी में सर ये पर्टिकुलर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन जो है ईडी सीबीआई इससे रिलेटेड कोई क्वेश्चन हो सकता है सर?
पूछ सकते हैं,
मिसयूज हो रहा है,
क्वेश्चन पूछ सकता है ईडी स्पेसिफिकली एक एजेंसी का भी क्वेश्चन पूछ सकता है या ओवरऑल सारे एजेंसी का भी पूछ सकता है. लाइक डिस्कस हाउ रिसेंटली द various statutory bodies are being misused by the government against the political parties. उसको लेकर ऐसा डायरेक्टली तो नहीं पूछेंगे बट स्टेटमेंट देंगे और आपको उसके ऊपर कमेंट करना पड़ेगा. गॉट इट? तो जीएस पेपर 2 पॉलिटी में क्वेश्चन पूछा जा सकता है.
ओके सर, गॉट इट सर.
So right hand side, the election of the Congress is going to be held. So Chief Minister of Rajasthan Gehlot signals that he will contest the election for the President of India if Rahul Gandhi does not. So now let's move on to the next page. I think there is nothing important on the first page today. Left hand side there is one news related to ठीक है, यहाँ पर तो कोई नहीं है. Let's move on to the next page. Biodecomposer will be sprayed on more land in Delhi this year. That is what is explained here. So what is this biodecomposers? Just read it out in the ecology and ecosystem class. We have already discussed that in the ecosystem there are various types of the biotic and abiotic components, and within that decomposer is one of the very important biotic component which plays an important role in the whole ecological process. So the PUSA biodecomposer, a microbial solution which is expected to help the decomposition of paddy stubble after the harvest, will be spread over 5,000 acres of land in Delhi this year. Now winter आने वाला है और जब भी winter आता है तो दिल्ली में एक प्रॉब्लम हमेशा होती है. क्या प्रॉब्लम है पता है किसी को? Whenever the winter approaches, the problem in Delhi वो हमेशा आता रहता है, तो उसको लेकर कुछ सॉल्यूशन निकाले जाते हैं या उसको लेकर हर साल डिबेट एंड डिस्कशन होता है. यस प्रमोद, व्हाट इट इज?
फॉग ना सर,
बर्निंग की वजह से जो पोल्यूशन होता है.
स्टबल बर्निंग सर, स्टबल बर्निंग.
Yes, stubble burning in Punjab and Haryana leads to the smog, leads to the pollution, and leads to a low vision in Delhi and surrounding region. So rather than burning the stubble, the Delhi government is providing biodecomposer, the PUSA biodecomposer, which will be helping for the farmers to decompose their the stubble. That is what is mentioned here. So the PUSA biodecomposer, आज आप जाकर चेक करोगे कि ये PUSA biodecomposer क्या होता है, कैसे काम करता है, and how it is better than the burning of the burning of the stubble. So it is a microbial solution which is expected to help with the decomposition of paddy stubble after the harvest. Will be spread over around 5,000 acres of the land in Delhi this year. That's what Environment Minister of Gopal Rai said. So just read this whole article, that how this biodecomposer will help in giving solution to the problems of Delhi. Now let's move on to the next page. Reserve Bank of India encouraged card holders to tokenize their cards. Do you remember? In the basics of Indian economic class, I have already discussed tokenization of card. So how tokenization is better than the debit card, that's what you need to know. So RBI, that is Reserve Bank of India, is encouraging card holders to tokenize their card. आपने अपना कार्ड को टोकनाइज किया है, नहीं किया है तो आपको करना है. So what is tokenization or card on file, COF, that is explained here. So tokenization can be done at any time of convenience. Tokenization is the process of replacing the debit card or credit card details with a unique alternate code called token. Tokenization is prescribed only for online and e-commerce transaction and not for face-to-face point of sale transaction, that is POS sale. जहां पर हम डायरेक्टली कार्ड स्वाइप करते वहां पर नहीं करनी, ये सिर्फ ऑनलाइन और ई कॉमर्स ट्रांजैक्शंस के लिए किया जा सकता है. Tokenization needs to be done only once for each card at each online e-commerce merchant. Each token is unique to a particular card and particular online and e-commerce merchant. Card holders can tokenize a card at any number of online or e-commerce merchants. A token cannot be used for payment to any merchant other than the merchant for whom it is created. Once the token is created, cardholder need not to enter or remember the token details for undertaking transaction in future. For identifying the tokenized card, the last 4 digits of the card will be displayed during the checkout process. So cardholders shall also have an option to deregister their tokens at their own choice. So how to tokenize a card? To opt for tokenization, card holder has to do a one-time registration at merchant website or application. So that's what is important. So card holders are encouraged to tokenize their card, which will have a safe, secure, seamless and convenient experience. So as we all know that RBI, Reserve Bank of India and government always try to create the safe digital transaction system. सबसे पहले इंटरनेट बैंकिंग था, उसमें फ्रॉड हो रहा था, फिर बाद में एटीएम कार्ड में भी फ्रॉड हो रहे थे, देन रिसेंटली यूपीआई एंड जहां पर भी फ्रॉड हो रहे हैं. तो जैसे जैसे फ्रॉड होते जाते हैं वैसे वैसे कुछ नई नई टेक्नोलॉजी बनाई जाती है. सो रिसेट वन सच टेक्नोलॉजी और रिसेट वन न्यू द सिस्टम टू रिड्यूस द फ्रॉड्स ऑफ फाइनेंशियल ट्रांजैक्शन इज कॉल्ड टोकनाइजेशन ऑफ द कार्ड. तो ये क्या है, यहाँ पर भी लिखा हुआ है that to protect the interest of the card holders, RBI has mandated with effect from October 1, 2022, entities other than card networks and card issuers cannot store card data such as card number, expiry date, etc. So at the same time, to ensure that the card holders are not inconvenienced, RBI has introduced the COF tokenization. So tokenization is done so that the card holder continues to enjoy the convenience of not entering the card details for every transaction. At the same time, the merchant does not store or use the card details, which prevents potential loss of the card details and associated misuse. So use of token arguments, safety and convenience of the card transaction, and it is in the interest of card holder. So I'm expecting a question in this year's prelims exam on this tokenization of the card. Now let's move on to the next page. So रशिया यूक्रेन वार का इंडिया पे क्या इम्पैक्ट हुआ है, 23 सितंबर को आपको ज्वाइन करना है. Yesterday also I have discussed it with you. So there will be a national panchayat award which will be given by the Union Ministry of Panchayati Raj. In this year's mains exam, there was a question asked discussed that how the decentralization of the power at the local level has helped the developmental progress in the local bodies. ऐसे एक क्वेश्चन पूछा गया था. So what are the problems associated with the panchayati raj? Why panchayati raj is important? And that's what is mentioned. So nominate your gram panchayat for national panchayat award categories. तो अगर आपके ग्राम पंचायत ने अच्छे से काम किया तो उसको नॉमिनेट करने के लिए कहा गया है. So just read this article that in which category the panchayat award will be given. Now let's move on to the next page. Kashmir is among likely venues for the meeting for run-up to G20. As we have seen yesterday, that India is the president of the G20 meeting this time. So India, so the G20 की meeting कहाँ की जाए इसको लेकर सोचा जा रहा है. So Kashmir is considered as the proposed, the proposed location for the G20 meeting. So why? That is what is explained here. The list of the possible destination for the upcoming G20 meeting, which will set the stage for the group summits next year in the national capital, includes Kashmir, Siliguri, Rann of Kutch, and Goa. The Indian Express has learned that ये सारी में से Kashmir is also one of the place कि जहाँ पर G20 meeting रखी जा सकती है. So deliberations in this regard were held during the ongoing state tourism minister conference on the Dharmashala. That is what is mentioned here. So why it is being done, that is also explained here. In the wake of the abrogation of Article 370, the government had organized the visit of the diplomats and envoys of various countries to the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir to underline the normalcy in the valley. Kashmir's elevation as a possible venue for G20 meeting will take that exercise further. So India want to show to the other world countries that after abrogation of Article 370, Kashmir has become a peaceful place. That's what the Indian government want to show it. Yes, Vasik, what do you think? After abrogation of Article 370, Kashmir has become more peaceful, or what is your experience from Vasik?
So there seems a bit of
more violent, or it has become more peaceful compared to the situation before abrogation of Article 370?
Sir, violence has reduced.
Violence has reduced.
To a large extent, yes, sir.
Got it. Chale. Now let's move on to the next page. So in Dharamshala, India sets a goal. India wants to become a world leader in tourism by 2047. So 2047 क्या है?
100-year completion of our independence, sir.
Right. So after the 100 years of the completion of the independence of India, Government of India sets a goal that it will become a world leader in tourism by 2047. So tourism is again one of the very important sector जहाँ पर employment create किया जा सकता है. यहाँ पर ज़्यादा employment create किया जा सकता है. So how to increase the tourism industry in India? That is what is discussed here in Dharamshala. So just read it out. This is very important article. So हो सकता है this could be helpful for you in writing the answer in the mains exam. That how the tourism will be helpful. Increasing tourism in India will be helpful for increasing employment and increasing the GDP as well.
Our Prime Minister talk about common elections, sir.
Yes.
Prime Minister talk about sir election, sir. And
yes,
about
one nation, one election, right?
Yes, sir. वो आर्टिकल आया सर.
ऊपर वाला जो आर्टिकल है.
Yes, sir.
Thinking centered around polls will not do any good to cities. That's what our Prime Minister said. Elected representatives should not think just in terms of elections, as it will not do any good to cities. So I think he has discussed about issues of the urban areas. So just read this article, GS paper 1 में topic है issues associated with the urbanization and their remedies. So this speech has been given by the Prime Minister of India in front of the mayors of the Gujarat. Now let's move on to the next page.
ऑफिसर का एक आर्टिकल आया सर अबाउट आर्टिकल 370.
Hello show is India's entry for Oscars movie. Now let's move on to the next page. The scholarship for the physically disabled person, that is persons with disabilities, that is Divyangajan, has been declared by the government. As we all know, in GS paper 2, there is a topic called welfare policies for the vulnerable section of the society. So this is one initiative taken by the government for the welfare of the people or the students with disabilities. A scholarship is been given to them. So just read this. You can recommend or you can, अगर आपके आसपास में कोई persons with disability हैं तो उन्हें ये scholarship मिलती है. बहुत सारे लोगों को पता नहीं होती. You can ask them to apply for this scholarship. Now let's move on to the next page. Demand for hijab is not spontaneous. That's what Supreme Court has told. The PFI is behind the movement. That's what the Karnataka government has said. So PFI is an organization in Karnataka which has become in the news in the last 2 to 3 years. That is called Popular Front of India. So as per Karnataka government, demand for the hijab in the school is been started by this Popular Front of India, and that is why, since it is going to create a law and order situation, uske liye isko ban kiya gaya. That's what the Karnataka government has said. So the Supreme Court is hearing the case of the ban on hijab by the Karnataka government for the school-going children. So just read this whole article that how the argument is going on in the Supreme Court with respect to hijab ban. Please read this whole article to understand. Next is nutrition rating stars set to appear soon on food pack labels. जैसे energy rating stars होते हैं on the electronic gadgets. How much energy efficient that electronic gadgets or that electronic the appliances are, like fridge या television. To star rating होता है, right? 2 star, 3 star, 4 star. Similarly, the nutritional rating will also be there on the the packaged food labels. That is what is explained here. The Food Safety and Standards Authority of India, the country's apex food regulator, has released a draft notification for front of pack labeling to discourage consumers from buying packaged food with high in sugar, salt and fat, which will require pre-packaged food to carry a star graphic that is ranging from 0 to 5 next to the brand name. तो ब्रांड नेम के सामने उसके स्टार रेटिंग लगाई जाएगी, जिससे लोगों को पता चलेगा कि न्यूट्रिशनल लेवल उस फूड पैकेज में कितना है. As we all know that nutrition is again one of the very important topic on which the UPSC is asking question in the last 4 to 5 years continuously. So it is mentioned here that like the star rating system for energy efficiency for electronic products, the Indian nutrition rating will see the unhealthiest food items to carry a 0 star rating and the healthiest to carry a 5 star rating. So do you think this is a good initiative by the government so that people can buy the healthiest and unhealthy? Because many times we only don't know which one is healthier and which one is not healthier, right?
I think sir, it is a good step, sir.
Yes, so that is what is mentioned here. The draft notification comes even as the several health experts have questioned the star rating system, contending that a warning symbol on foods high in sugar, salt, and fat are more likely to discourage people from consuming them. So as per the draft notification, items will be given scores based on contribution of energy and content of saturated fat, सैचुरेटेड फैट एंड अनसैचुरेटेड फैट क्या होता है ये आपको पता होना जरूरी है. शुगर, सोडियम, फ्रूट एंड वेजिटेबल, नट्स, लेग्यूम्स एंड मिलेट्स, डाइटरी फाइबर, प्रोटीन per gram of solid and 100 ml liquid foods. So solid food with a score of more than 25 will be given 0.5 stars, and those with a score less than minus 11 will get 5 stars. So this INR system rates the overall nutritional profile for packaged food by assigning it a rating from half star to 5 star. That is what is mentioned here. Then to generate the star rating logo for the product, food businesses have to submit nutritional profiles of the products concerned on FSSAI's Fosco's food safety and compliance system. So just read this whole article, cut this article and put it into GS paper 2, that is food security नाम का एक टॉपिक है, GS पेपर 3 में है शायद, तो वहां आप इस टॉपिक इस आर्टिकल को अटैच कर सकते हो. अगर मेंस एग्जाम में कोई क्वेश्चन पूछा गया है कि न्यूट्रिशनल लेवल को अगर हमें बढ़ाना है तो क्या करना चाहिए, तो यू कैन गिव दिस सजेशन दैट टू गिव द न्यूट्रिशनल स्टार्स ऑन द पैकेज्ड फूड, you know, the food articles. Now let's move on to the next page. More teeth and bigger muscles, ED lengthening the arm. तो एनफोर्समेंट डायरेक्टोरेट को ज्यादा दांत दिए गए और ज्यादा मसल दिए गए, ज्यादा पावर दिए गए. Now let's move on to the next page. The triple dip La Nina. La Nina मतलब क्या? In basics of Indian geography class, I'll discuss it in detail. But आप लोगों में से किसी को पता है what is La Nina? Shivani, any idea what is La Nina?
No, sir, I don't know.
Okay. Chil. So La Nina is a geographical phenomena which normally happens in the Pacific Ocean. That normal Pacific Ocean का जो surface temperature होता है, उससे टेम्परेचर जब कम हो जाता है, ऐसे सिचुएशन को ला नीना कहा जाता है. So when the Pacific Ocean surface temperature falls below the normal temperature, that process is called as La Nina, and this La Nina has impact on Indian monsoon. So La Nina has a positive impact on Indian monsoon or negative impact on Indian monsoon. La Nina के वक्त में बारिश ज्यादा होती है या कम होती है?
सर कम होती है सर, because due to the cooler than the normal, इसी वजह से कम होती है सर.
Right. And what about El Nino?
एल नीनो से सर इंडियन मानसून के लिए वो सेल्फ सफिशिएंट है सर,
फेवरेबल होता है. So La Nina refers, यहाँ पे ये लिखा है कि La Nina refers to the ENSO phase, that is El Nino Southern Oscillation phase, in which sea surface temperatures are cooler than normal. So continuance of the La Nina in 2023 is not bad news from the Indian standpoint, but it is not the same for other regions. तो इंडिया के लिए तो नहीं है, बट दूसरे रीजन में बारिश कम होगी और उससे अकाल आ जाएगा, उससे मानसून की जो रेनफॉल है वो कम हो जाएगा. दैट इज व्हाट इज एक्सप्लेन्ड हियर. सो इन द बेसिक्स ऑफ इंडियन ज्योग्राफी क्लास आई विल बी डिस्कसिंग द ला नीना, एल नीनो एंड इंपैक्ट ऑफ ला नीना इन डिटेल. नाउ व्हाट इज द लाइकली इंपैक्ट इज आल्सो एक्सप्लेन्ड हियर. इंडिया पे तो ज्यादा नहीं होगा, बट दूसरे रीजन पे होने वाला है, ऐसे यहाँ पर एक्सप्लेन किया गया. सो जस्ट रीड दिस आर्टिकल. Today's editorial is related to the life and death. Supreme Court yesterday we have discussed that कि जिस व्यक्ति को कैपिटल पनिशमेंट अगर देना है तो उसका एक नॉर्मल प्रोसीजर होना चाहिए, उसको लेकर सुप्रीम कोर्ट has started the discussion. That is what is explained here. The Supreme Court initiative on capital punishment was long overdue. It is a welcome intervention towards justice on death row. So just read this article to understand that what initiatives have been taken by the government with respect to the convicted persons of capital punishment. So office politics, the government standoff in Kerala diminishes their office, it may only get worse. So Kerala में गवर्नमेंट और गवर्नर के बीच में पॉलिटिक्स चल रही है, उनमें एक टसल चल रहा है, तो इट डिमिनिशेस द ऑफिस, मतलब गवर्नर का जो पोस्ट है उसको वो शोभा नहीं देता है. दैट्स व्हाट इज मेंशन्ड बाय the editorial. So we always see that governor is one of the most controversial post in the political system of India now. And basics of Indian polity में मैंने डिस्कस भी किया था कि कैसे गवर्नर के पोस्ट का मिसयूज किया जाता है या मिसयूज होता है. So that is what is explained here. So just read this article, that why the confrontation is happening between the Kerala government and governor of the Kerala. Yeah, so the governor is appointed by whom? किसी को पता है? Basics polity में आपने पढ़ा होगा.
Yes,
Who
sir.
appoints the governor?
The governor appointed by the union government by the union government through
By
president,
the
sir.
government or by the president of India on the advisory?
By the president of India on the recommendation of union government.
Very good. चलो तो next article is written by Satish Deshpande about the intent of the government to grant reservation quota for the Dalit Muslims and Dalit Christians. So granting Dalit Sikhs Buddhist reservation while denying it to Dalit Muslims and Dalit Christians is a hypocrisy. तो दलित सिख को दिया गया, दलित बुद्धिस्ट को दिया गया, लेकिन दलित मुस्लिम्स को, दलित क्रिश्चियंस को नहीं दिया गया, वो एक हिपोक्रेसी है, ऐसे सतीश देशपांडे को लगता है. So just read this article. Now let's move on to the next page. A world for women to win. Padma Desai has written an article about the empowerment of women. India and the world are now more congenial to women and their successes. So last year there were questions in the mains exam related to the women's role in the development of the India as well as the whole country. So just read this article, that how the India and the world are now more congenial to women and their successes. Now let's move on to the next page. Weighing Quad against SCO, Quad group of countries और Shanghai Corporation Organization, ये दोनों को अलग अलग से कंपैरिजन किया गया बाय क्रिस्टोफर जेफरलेट. इस साल के मेंस एग्जाम में बिमस्टॉक को लेकर एक क्वेश्चन पूछा गया था कि कैसे दूसरी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन या फोरम्स बनने के बाद बिमस्टिक का इंपॉर्टेंस इंडो पैसिफिक रीजन में बढ़ा या घटा है, उसको लेकर एक क्वेश्चन पूछा गया था. तो सिमिलर आर्टिकल इज आल्सो बीन written here because you have seen that recently the Shanghai Corporation Organization meeting was there, and in that Shanghai Corporation Organization China is also the part of SCO, while in Quad group of countries, that is Australia, Japan, India and US, it has been created to counter the increasing influence of China in the Indo-Pacific region. So India may give up its strategic balancing of China and West if the Ukraine war weakens Russia and Moscow is unable to provide for its defense needs. अगर रशिया वीक हो रहा है यूक्रेन वॉर में और मॉस्को अगर इंडिया को डिफेंड नहीं कर पाता है, देन हमको बैलेंस करने का जो कोशिश कर रहे थे चाइना को, उसको छोड़ देना चाहिए. दैट्स व्हाट क्रिस्टोफर जेफरलेट थिंक्स सो. From queens passing to nationalist parades, rituals sway people everywhere. Yes, Mustafa.
Sir, why almost all the जो भी आर्टिकल आते हैं सर, वो जो यूरोप से और वेस्टर्न कंट्री से आते हैं सर, वो जो एक्सपर्ट लोग होते हैं, उससे इंडिया के इंटरनेशनल रिलेशन के बारे में आर्टिकल ज्यादा क्यों लिखते हैं सर?
बिकॉज उनके वहां पर इंडियन स्टडीज के लेकर अलग अलग वहां पर डिपार्टमेंट्स हैं. यूरोप में, जर्मनी में, इंग्लैंड में, अमेरिका में इंडिया का जो भी पॉलिटिक्स है, इंडिया का जो सोशल सिस्टम है, इंडिया का जो भी इकोनॉमिक सिस्टम है, उसको लेकर अलग से डिपार्टमेंट है. तो ऑफ कोर्स एवरीबॉडी इज लुकिंग एट इंडिया बिकॉज इंडिया इज वन ऑफ द लार्जेस्ट मार्केट इन द वर्ल्ड. इंडिया इज वन ऑफ द emerging economy in the world. So everybody is keeping eye on India. Now let's move to the next page. Today's economic page हम देखते हैं. Tata Group is going to bring Air Asia India Vistara under the Air India by 2024. By 2024 तक Air Asia और Vistara दोनों को एक ही कंपनी में बनाया जाएगा. Distance bring distrust and cut it down. That's what finance minister has told to financial technological companies. Innovations must be responsible. That's what RBI governor has said. So जो भी innovation किए जाएंगे, warning against mushrooming of lending gaps and their usurious recovery prices. Reserve Bank Governor RBI Governor Shaktikant Das on Tuesday said that RBI was not interested in penalizing but want them to follow the rules. मतलब जो नए जो lending apps बनाए जा रहे हैं, आपने देखा होगा कि बहुत सारे Facebook या WhatsApp पे नए lending apps बनाए जा रहे हैं, तो उसका मशरूमिंग हो रहा है. मशरूमिंग मतलब कि बहुत सारे एक साथ में बनाए जा रहे हैं, तो उसको रेगुलेट करने की जरूरत है. That's what the RBI governor has said. The RBI will continue to be supportive of digital lending. We will in fact go 2 steps forward to discuss it with you if you just take 1 step forward. But these innovations also must be responsible and should enhance the efficiency and resiliency of the financial system while benefiting the consumer. So digital lending is again one of the important way of optimum utilization of the financial resources of the country, right?
Yes, sir, yes.
As per finance minister, she said that there is need to be ready to prevent any black swan event. That's what finance minister said. Anyone knows what is this black swan event? She is stating that the future of the finance is going to be driven by more digitization. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman on Tuesday said that there is a big role for artificial intelligence in financial technological areas such as detecting crime, fraud detection, quantifying risk, referring to the future of finance as VUCA, that is volatile, uncertain, complex, and totally ambiguous. She also said that one has to think within the available parameters and be ready to prevent any black swan event. So just read this article. Fine. So this is all there in the today's newspaper. Okay, here there is one more news that RBI has removed the Central Bank of India from the PCA framework. Anyone remember what is PCA? When I was discussing about the functions of the Reserve Bank of India, I have already discussed about it. This is one of the very important function of the RBI.
Sir, prompt corrective action, sir.
Right. तो सेंट्रल बैंक ऑफ इंडिया को प्रॉम्प्ट करेक्टिव एक्शन के लिस्ट में डाला गया था. Now it has been removed. So what is PCA? PCA now is a supervisory tool and is imposed when a bank breaches certain regulatory threshold. अगर कोई बैंक गलत तरीके से लेंडिंग कर रही है, गलत तरीके से अगर डिपॉजिट ले रही है, तो ऐसे बैंक के खिलाफ में प्रॉम्प्ट करेक्टिव एक्शन लिए जाते हैं. तो सेंट्रल बैंक ऑफ इंडिया के खिलाफ में जो फ्रेमवर्क इंपोज किया गया था उसे अभी निकाल दिया गया है. So just read this article. So as a UPSC aspirant, you need to know what is this prompt corrective action. Fine. So we'll stop it here now. We'll continue in the evening as per our regular schedule. तो आज आपको 2 चीजें मैंने देखने के लिए बताई थी. याद है? What thing I have asked you to check it out today? मुस्तफा?
सर आपने बोला था एक PM biodecomposer, sir.
Yes, what is biodecomposers and how biodecomposers are important for the issues in the Delhi and surrounding region. वो आज आपको देखना है. Have a good day to all of you. See you in the